Hey, this is Max. Welcome back to another CSR2 video. I am here with the Infiniti Project Black S, and we're going to do the stage 6 effects of this car in anticipation of what we will face in the Prestige Cup. This video is brought to you by the Spoon Cat. The Spoon Cat was able to provide me this fully maxed car and therefore allows me to do this video for you. Alright, let's get right into it. This car is a tier 4, and at stage 5 full fusion, it is not one of the slower cars, but it is also not one of the faster cars. However, to put it in perspective, at stage 5 only, this car is already running what a fully maxed Camaro Z28 would be running dyno wise. So, or a Dodge Viper for that matter. So it is not a slow car, but considering how fast some of the tier 4 cars now are, this is also not a very fast car. Now, some things to notice about this car. One, it does not do very high mile per hours easily. However, it does 0 to 60 very well. So it is good for 0 to 60. It's not good for speed trap. Time-wise, it's quick enough to essentially beat Tempest 3 tier 4 challenges once it gets some stage 6s, but the fusions are hard to get. The other thing about this car is, as it's set up right now, the way I am driving it is simply launching perfect, nitrous second, and running out in fifth. Now, fully maxed, I know that the shift pattern or the nitrous timing is a little different, but generally speaking, it is better to use nitrous in second until you get to fully maxed point. So just kind of letting it run out. Again, it's not very quick. It doesn't easily hit dyno. That's another point with this car, although I've shown that it is capable of being tuned to beat dyno for supply cup purposes. So that is stage 5 only. Let's go ahead and start looking at the stage 6s. As always, we start off with engine, and then we're going to move from there. Now, engine, as you can see right now, the performance point and the evo point both jump up. So surprisingly, engine's actually pretty good. Let's take a look at it with a little bit of dyno adjustments. With engine having the ability usually to push the mile per hours up a little bit, you're able to get just a little bit extra out of the car, but it is not a huge number. It's just enough to give it a little bit of extra to let's see if I can't get that 1431 again. I know I saw it. There it is. 2.74 is a 1431. 11.867 on the dyno. 1.0 0 to 60, 206 mile per hour. Generally, having the tire at about 199 seems to work once you have full fusion. However, if you have lower upgrades, at some points the tire can be much less grip because it won't have enough power to push it. Here, with the essentially with the nitrous 2.8, 162 seems to be working the best here. So again, 11.867, that is your engine. That is a decent drop. That's 0.4 second drop just for engine, which obviously is coming out as a pretty strong stage 6 here. Moving right along to turbo, interestingly, lots of PP jump, but the evo point went down a bit, so turbo isn't going to be as strong, but with the performance point jump, it'll do something, so it is still a drop overall of about a tenth and change. Let's see if I can't get some more out of this. I think 1305 was what I saw there as the highest. And that'll give you a 12.079 from a 12.26 dyno. So that is a almost 0.2 second drop. So it's not completely useless. It does drop the time a little bit. Okay, so that is turbo. Let's move on to intake. Now intake looking the same as turbo, but it also has a little bit of evo jump. However, I'm not so sure intake is going to necessarily beat turbo on this, and so far it doesn't. A little bit of tuning may help us to get a few more points, or not. Here we go, little points there. Let's see if I can push it. Nope. 1330 is a 12099, just a little short on the times of the turbo. So intake is slightly weaker than turbo, but basically they're pretty close. All right, moving right along, we're going to go nitrous. Now, this car, being that it's very grippy and requires the nitrous essentially to be working to push it, should benefit from the nitrous. The real question is how much. 11853 outright without even fine tuning, that's a good sign. If we can get it into the 14 plus, looks like 1404 was the best I saw there. That's at 11846, which is better than what engine can do. So nitrous is a little bit better overall than engine, putting it right now near the top. So nitrous for this car is important, unlike for some tier 4s where the tire spinning makes nitrous less effective overall. Now body looks like it's pretty strong as well. So let's see if body will outperform nitrous and engine. Let's take a look at preliminary. Oh, it does. Preliminary dyno is already showing that it is better. The question is how much better? Can we get more out of this body than what I am seeing? I see 1400. That's at 11810. But can it go higher? That's the real question here. What about this way? Can it push beyond? Oh, there it is. A little bit more. Some more. Oh, and that's it. So looks like 1404, which is at 11804. If we tweak nitrous a little bit, we might get 805. There's always hope for that. See, the thing about this one is that it does have, see, there it is. There's 805 with a little bit more aggressive nitrous. So ultimately 11.802 on the dyno without further fine tuning, which you may still be able to squeeze another point or two out of the Evo. So there it is. This is your current top stage 6 jumping to the front. However, between body, nitrous, and engine, we're only talking about a few hundreds difference. So it's not like body will simply make it so that if you don't have it, you're dead in the water. It's not that way. We have now 3 stage 6s that are strong and pretty close to each other. And that's a good thing. And this is what looks like an interesting drop on Evo here. This might actually be similar to my supply cup situation where the Evo drop might simply be allowing you to beat dyno. Let's move it this way, see if it'll go, and there it is. So that's just a simple Evo drop that drops the time. However, overall, you can see tire right now at least is not a very strong stage 6. In fact, it's not even quite beating intake, putting it at the bottom for the moment. Let's see, I know I saw 6, 7, 12.128 definitely isn't going to be intake. Can you play with the tire setting some more? Yes, you can. It looks like I can squeeze some more out of it. But it's still a slowest time possible out of all of them at this point. So I'm going to put it back to 1 and I'm going to jump back. So tire coming in at the bottom, although the stage 6 tire allowed me to instantly trigger a little bit of a Evo drop there, which may be helpful for other purposes. Okay. Finally, transmission. Transmission is generally a decent stage 6, but it really depends in this case on how this car reacts to it. Let's see if I'll put it back to 2.8. At 12.066 puts it near what I believe was turbo, right? Turbo was around that time. I'll have to go back and fine tune it and see if it beats turbo or not. It looks like 12.063 is what we end up with. So transmission, intake, turbo, kind of close. Tire, really bad. And engine and body and nitrous are definitely on top. So that brings us to the next step. We're going to do some combinations to see what the overall differences are if you put the top 3 versus the bottom 4. Now the top 3, obviously, being that each of them drops individually to 11.8 to start with should give you a really substantial drop, considering that it should be able to do a lot more. What's interesting again about this car is, as you can see, I'm not moving too far away from that 200 mile per hour. Yes, you'll beat it by a little bit as you get more upgrades, but you're not really going straight to like 250, for example, right? I am moving quite a bit here towards up, and there goes that drop. So you do have the 11.025, and here's an instant drop of 11.2. Okay, so again, it has that little drop still, and that's always going to be useful for some purposes. But generally speaking, right now, 11.025 dyno is what you're looking at. Let's go ahead and take a run, make sure that it's actually doable, or at least near to that number is doable, and then we'll go back and look at the other four. Oh, I got a 0 RPM drop. Look at that. So because it's cutting it so close to the dyno drop, I actually got a 0 RPM drop. That's going to hurt my time by quite a bit, in fact, because I wasn't expecting it. Let's take a look. So that was a 11.4 run, which is really bad. Let's give it one more shot. I do want to try to at least get a 11.0 run out of it, but that was because I hit right around here. I think I got a 0 RPM drop. I'm going to make it a little bit tighter. And this one is a better run, not the best shifts. So this should put me much closer to that 11.0 run, dyno that it's supposed to do. Let's see what the final numbers are. It should be a few hundreds off. All right, so 11.061 on a 11.202 dyno. Okay, and that's the three strongest stage 6 with fusions. Now let's take a look at the other four without these top three. We'll put the rest in. Whoops. Let's put these in. Okay, and trans. So tire, trans, turbo, intake are the four weaker stage 6s. I'm putting all four in, and we're going to tune it. And we're going to see where this comes in at. Looks like that 83 might be one of the numbers we're going to get to. May not be able to get much over that. I think that's about where it's going to end. Oops. 83. And that gives a 11.578. So literally, we're talking about half a second slower with the other four stage 6s as compared to the three top ones. So you got a huge margin of difference here, depending on what stage 6s you end up with. And that could be a problem depending on how hard they make this Prestige Cup. With these past milestone cars, what you have to know is you should have at least one stage 6 from the milestone if you're in a milestone crew and you got this car. Okay, you're going to get one from the crew cup that comes right after the PC Cup starts. That's 2. You're going to get likely a free one from crates once you get through the initial PC Cup start, and that's another possible stage 6. And then you have your stage 6 that comes from this showdown here, which can give you another stage 6. So for most of the people here, you can get probably 3 to 4 stage 6s by the point you get to the Prestige Cup. So you shouldn't be too weak by that point. You should be relatively set up. The question will be then is which 3 did you get? And that'll affect your ability to do anything. So finally, let's fully max the car and take a look at it. See how it runs fully maxed. As you can see, it has a slight dyno beating capability, but it's not necessarily the strongest or the best setup for it. Let me see if I can't get... Let's see what the dyno says. 10.6. 10.609, 10.626. All right, I'm not sure what the best optimal setting would be for this, but let's go ahead and try it this way and see what numbers I end up running. If you really want to know the optimal and fine-tuned settings, just go to check YouTube for Zucar's shift patterns and his tune. It should give you a good idea what the car will be capable of. Oh, I skip shifted. That's a mistake. Okay. Had a little twitch in my finger and I skip shifted by accident. That's not good. It's certainly going to hurt the time. But it should do, again, it should do at least at or slightly under dyno, depending on what the car is tuned to and how you drive it. Now, generally speaking, for this one, now I got 0 RPM drop, so I just can't win. It's one or the other having some issues here. I may have the final drive at the wrong location as well. All right, so not the best situation here with this runtime. Now, can you tweak this car to kind of beat dyno a little bit? Sure, you can always do it. It does do that pretty easily with just, a low final drive generally will put you right there, but then you have to definitely launch it late and not right on perfect, because if you do perfect at this point, you're definitely not going to run it as well as if you did a late launch, because you're going to get 0 RPM drop and it's going to hurt you. So here, real simply, with 2.0 final drive, it does 10.575, which is what I was hoping it was going to do earlier, with a 10.8 dyno. Again, I use Nitrous in second. You may be able to use it in third or second, depending on how you want to swing it. But that's the one advantage here, is that the car does beat dyno some if you play with the final drive, and you can use that, obviously, potentially to your advantage. In live, is it going to be a super strong car? Probably not. Even with the dyno beating, the real question is, how does it match make, and does it have the chance to utilize that dyno beating tune for long before it gets bumped? So here we're in the lobby. I'm going to see if I can find somebody to test against real quick. Nobody? Not one person available? Let's try jumping back in, see if I change lobbies or not. Probably not, but if it does, it'd be nice. Nope, it does not. Okay, so you got these guys are available. Let's try this one, because this card gets a lobby advantage, but it doesn't beat dyno as easily. So I can better judge what lobby I'm in by basically seeing what this car runs and subtracting or adding 2/10. Whoops, that's going to hurt. Forgot to launch late. So if I can outrun that car, and it's probably going to catch up to me soon. If I can outrun that car, that's a good thing. That tells me the lobby I'm in is actually somewhat competitive. So 11.0, 10.9. Remember, when you first start using a car, you have a slight lobby advantage. This car naturally comes with a lobby advantage, depending on how it's tuned. So there are different things to keep an eye out here. Let's see if I can't find another opponent. The reason I didn't race this car right here, right away, is because I don't know much about that car. So I don't know if it's going to be busting dyno. I don't know if it's, lobby advantaged. Whereas cars like this, I know quite a bit about. So I use them as a better gauge of what I'm really facing as far as opponents are concerned. All right. So this should be an interesting race. This car beats dyno. So whatever it's lobbied at, it's going to run better if it's driven properly. So I'm going to have to take a look. This time I'm going to launch late, and this allows me to do the dyno busting run. However, I'm going to end at fourth, and I want to see how quick he can catch me, because he should be able to. Now, let's take a look at the time here. 10.8 is actually around my dyno. 10.8 is what he ran. So I am, in fact, in a slightly advantageous lobby here. Again, how long is that going to last? I don't know. But obviously, with the dyno beating setup, this car is viable in live, fully maxed. Um, it probably is still viable without being fully maxed, and it's hard to really predict all the different conditions under which it'll be good. But generally speaking, this is a possible car to use in live. It is obviously not a great car for Tempest because of the speed trap issues, but it will do the sprint. So if you need it for the sprint, it is here. The only thing I would finally caution you on is this is a unique brand, unique fusions that you have no other sources for other than during this event where it's being used as some kind of event car. I would not, as a new player, try to build this car as your primary car for any purpose because it's too hard to get the fusions for. Chances are most of us are going to be short fusions going into this PC Cup, and your chance of actually outright maxing this car is probably very slim. Another thing to keep in mind is Natural Motion likes to kind of throw these cars in as some kind of lead car in a showdown in the future. Just keep that in mind. That may happen, but it should not dictate how much resources you waste on this car. Ultimately, I would give this car like a B rating out of A, B, C, D, E, F. It'd be like a B rating, C rating car. It's not that good in Tier 4, but it is a decent car. All right, so that is a long discussion of Stage 6 effects and other things about this car. Let me know if you have any other questions, and if you have comments, feel free to make them. If you liked the video, please leave a like. If you like my channel, please subscribe so you can get notifications when I put up new videos. And as always, thank you for watching my videos. I'll catch you next time.